Welcome to episode 3 of the Horror of Babylon. Damn it.
This podcast is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Spoiler warning for whatever is in the title of this episode.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share and subscribe. Follow Daniel at dstarsick on Twitter. Follow Ryan at Darth Damio on the Bluebird app. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that the Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible and all other major podcast apps.
Welcome to episode 3 of Treehouse of Horror of Babylon, where we are discussing The Shinning from Treehouse of Horror 5.
Don't you mean Shining?
Quiet, you want to get sued?
Uh-huh.
I'm Ryan, and with me as always is Daniel. Say hi, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
And we want to say thank you to our patrons. This show is brought to you by Abigail, the First Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and for Horsemen Comics and Gaming. You can visit them at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, or at the mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And of course, that is led by Ronald III, the Grampus of Christmas.
I love Grampus of Christmas.
Yes, I do as well. And we are going to be doing our first live event. We will be at DualCon, which is a gaming convention on February 11th in Charleston, West Virginia at the Charleston Convention Center. All proceeds for the event benefit the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. We will have a table there where you can come and meet us, and we will have a small amount of swag. And we are running a panel at 7:30 in panel room 2, where we will be recording a live episode on Junji Ito's Uzumaki.
Uzumaki.
And we are going to have some questions for the audience, and we will be encouraging your participation. So if you not only want to come and do the panel, but be on the show, because we're going to record it and post it to the podcast feed later on, definitely come and do that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great time.
Yes. And there will be beers after, or during, or before.
I forgot to bring you money again.
It's okay. It's okay.
At least I have it.
Our history with The Shining, and I really thought that we would be having this conversation when we covered the novel. We will definitely do the novel at some point, so we can have it again then. What's your history with The Shining?
Well, I watched the Kubrick movie, God, I was way too young to probably be watching that movie. And as a kid, I thought it was the most surreal, frightening, and simultaneously boring thing I'd ever watched. When I got older, I really loved it. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of it's like watching 2001: A Space Odyssey when you're in grade school. So it's not going to hold your attention all that much. I ended up watching it later, going, this is great. And then I started reading, Stephen King in high school, college. Eventually I landed on The Shining. I don't remember exactly when I read it. It's been a while, though. Been at least maybe 8 to 10 years.
Sounds like you need a refresher.
Yeah, I do need a refresher on it. God, it's like when I reread Salem's Lot. I was like, man, I forgot a bunch of this book.
Yeah, that's a thick boy, too.
Yeah. That's pretty much my history with it.
So for me, it's mostly The Shinning. As I've said many times, I grew up watching The Simpsons, and the Halloween episodes were always one of my favorites. And this one, I'm hesitant to say it's definitively my favorite, but it was one of and continues to be one of my favorites. So much so that anytime someone spoke of The Shining, meaning the book or the movie or whatever, I always thought of this first. The first thing I actually saw was the miniseries, but I didn't make it through episode 1. My mom had this habit of buying TV miniseries on DVD when TV on DVD became a thing. And one she bought was The Shining, We started it, and for whatever reason, we didn't make it through the first episode. I didn't actually see the movie until I think I was 19. And I basically thought, oh, it's good, but, I think it's a little overblown. I think The Simpsons was better. And then I read the book last year, and it's funny because I really didn't have any kind of expectations for the book because, I was kind of underwhelmed by the movie, and then the book just kind of ended up blowing me away. Because of that, I rewatched the movie, and I like the movie more, although I definitely understand the criticisms of it not being a good adaptation.
Kubrick is a dream killer.
Yeah, there's validity to both sides of that argument. And then I watched the miniseries as well, which is definitely a better adaptation and is entertaining, and I like it, but is not as good.
I didn't watch that until after I watched like a riff review of it, so my opinion already got colored.
Yeah.
I watched something making fun of it first. I was like, I probably should have just watched this first.
Yeah, that's bad.
Because then all I could hear was the jokes in my head as I was watching it.
Well, I mean, it's pretty easy to make fun of.
Yeah.
There are a few things it has going for it that I think are legitimately better than the movie, but overall, yeah. For instance, it includes the wasp scene, which is probably for me the scariest part of the book. But yeah, we'll get more into that when we actually cover The Shining.
The vampire's a pure myth. Superstition.
I may be able to bring you proof that the superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
So background, Treehouse of Horror 5 aired on October 30th, 1994. This is Season 6, Episode 6, Episode 109. The other two segments in this episode are Time and Punishment, which is a parody of Ray Bradbury's The Sound of Thunder, and Nightmare Cafeteria, which is a parody of the Charlton Heston film Soylent Green. The whole episode was directed by Jim Reardon, who made a student film in 1986 that I watched on YouTube earlier when I was researching. It's called Bring Me the Head of Charlie Brown. And
that's the title.
It opens with the Great Pumpkin sitting on his throne and ordering Lucy, Linus, and Schroeder to go kill Charlie Brown, and then it's like a 3-minute film, and then the rest of it is just them murdering Charlie Brown over and over again. Linus strangles him with his blanket. It's pretty great. Highly recommend. Before The Simpsons, he worked on the 80s Mighty Mouse and Tiny Toons Adventures. He worked on The Simpsons for a lot of years, and he left to go work for Pixar and Disney. He wrote WALL-E. He also wrote Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and Zootopia.
Oh, he wrote the furry movie.
Yeah, he did write the furry movie.
Brought us a fuckable rabbit.
I disagree. I highly disagree. He's right up there with Brad Bird, who's a Pixar titan who was a Simpsons alum. And then this segment is written by Bob Kuchel. Before The Simpsons, he wrote for a couple shows that 90 kids will remember, Salute Your Shorts and Goof Troop. After The Simpsons, he was a writer and a producer on a lot of shows, including Malcolm in the Middle, American Dad, Third Rock from the Sun, Grounded for Life, and the Adult Muppets show, which if you haven't watched, at least check out the first episode.
There's an Adult Muppet show?
It's so crazy. It only lasted one season. It was on ABC, not on Disney.
Yeah.
It's Piggy has a talk show, and Kermit's the producer, and everybody else works on the show. It's so insane. There's this one part where Kermit and Piggy are in the office, and people walk in on them, and it implies heavily that Piggy was giving him a blowjob. My favorite part of the first episode.
Jim Henson involved in this?
No, he's dead.
Okay. When did he die?
Like 90s. Early,
okay.
He died before A Muppet Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island.
Oh, wow. He was dead way longer than I thought.
Yeah, those were... His son did those, Brian Henson.
Was Brian Henson involved in that? No. Okay.
My favorite joke of the first episode, Fozzie is... It's like an Office style where they do the cutaways. He's talking to the camera, and he's like, I have a lot of friends here, but I get kind of lonely, so I went online to try and find, bear seeking comfort, and then it cuts to him, and he's in a convertible with this really large, hairy, effeminate man who's like reaching his shoulder around Fozzie, and Fozzie's like,
That sounds great.
It is. It's
How did that
super great.
How did that only last one season?
Because, it's the Muppets, and that's not what people were expecting, I guess. I don't know. I love the show.
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, the prequel.
Yeah.
And that's that. Another story in the classic, infallible 3-act structure. Good enough for Aristotle, good enough for The Simpsons.
Mr. Sislak, I have a feeling there's going to be one more act to this story.
Well, I'm not hanging around for that. 4 acts.
Jumping into structure and themes, as we said with our previous Treehouse of Horror of Babylon, this is a parody. It's not an adaptation, and specifically, it's a parody of the movie, not of the novel. But like we said on the previous episodes, even with parody, you still have to adapt the story so that it makes sense. So, just in general, this is the first time watching this one, right?
Yep.
Okay, so how did you think in terms of its adaptation of the story? How did it do?
It did a good job adapting to the Kubrick movie.
Has all the same beats. They go to the hotel.
Yeah.
He goes crazy for absolutely no reason and tries to kill his family.
I mean, with some minor alterations, it could have literally just been the cliff notes of the Kubrick movie.
Yeah. It's pretty much beat for beat.
Didn't get the twins. Not that I saw.
No, they're not in it.
Yeah, that surprised me. I was expecting them to be Marge's sisters.
Ugh. That would have been scary.
Come play with us, Bart. Or, something like that,
I'm trying to remember if there's a deleted scene with the twins. So I had them all, well, I still have them all on DVD. And when I was in high school, I would watch all these on DVD constantly. And there's a mode on the DVDs where you can include the deleted scenes in the regular episodes. So I used to know all the deleted scenes really well. But for the past so many years, I've been watching them all on streaming services, Disney Plus and Hulu. They don't have the deleted scenes.
It's one of the reasons I kind of miss physical media is you got shit like that.
Yeah.
The commentary tracks.
Yeah.
I really think that streaming needs to start offering at least the director's commentary tracks.
All they have to do is have another audio file. I mean, I guess it's just more server space for them, but
I guess, but the big ones could, Netflix, there's no reason that Netflix and Disney couldn't do it, and probably even HBO Max.
Well, what I would say is pick 30 popular movies, add the commentary tracks, and track it.
And see how it does.
Yeah, and if people don't watch it, then whatever, then don't do it, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 guys doing this, Ryan and Daniel in West Virginia.
I read this article once. According to Netflix statistics, there was a person in Canada who watched Return of the King 361 times within a year. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they were sitting in front of their TV watching it.
Smaybe that's just their comfort background noise.
Yeah.
That's still a lot.
That's a lot. It is a lot. They do a good job squishing that 90-minute movie down into 7 minutes.
Yeah, it was surprisingly short.
But if you think about it, the movie itself doesn't really have that many plot beats.
It's atmospheric.
Yeah, it's all aesthetics.
It's about these long stretching shots and building a mood and having music slowly swell up to get under your skin.
Yeah, and so...
Staring at the camera.
Maybe it shouldn't be that surprising that they're able to adapt that into such a short...
I honestly think if they gave them 5 more minutes, they could have included every single plot beat.
Yeah, more or less.
Including... Who would you have cast as the dog giving the blowjob? I can't remember his name.
The dog guy, yeah.
Yeah. What 2 characters? Is that oh god, the black dude and the
Lenny and Carl.
Lenny and Carl.
Lenny and Carl was my first thought.
Because that's my thought.
There's a lot of openly gay characters now that weren't openly gay in 1994. At that point, Smithers wasn't openly gay. He was just highly suspected of being gay.
It was a running gag.
Yeah, exactly. So Smithers and somebody would have been funny.
Could have just done Smithers and Mr. Burns. That could have been them instead. Just. In fact, I'm going to commission that fan art for you. That's your birthday present this year.
Yay! I won't hang it on my wall.
Well, it's just going to be him looking over in a dog costume.
Okay, that'll be fine.
That exact screenshot.
That'd be fine. I love the one that's Putin and Trump. It's so funny.
I've been making one in Meme Maker, so I haven't sent it to you yet.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Okay, characters. Homer Simpson is Jack Torrance, and I think it fits really well.
I wanted to bring this up. I think Homer is just one beat away from being a Stephen King protagonist.
Yeah.
He's an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. He's a family man who And Stephen King doesn't always do family dudes, but he does do a lot of people who have tried to live their dreams and weren't able to, like live their broken dreams, like that bowling episode I always remember.
He also has a strained relationship with his children.
Yeah.
Which is a common Stephen King theme.
Doesn't get along with his parents.
He's physically abusive towards one of his children. Like,
yeah, he's a Stephen King protagonist. It's all, like seeing this episode is what made me go, huh.
Yeah.
If you just like literally took his character archetype and put it in a different setting, he would be a Stephen King character.
They didn't get to play on the drinking as much because obviously Homer is a huge alcoholic, and so is Jack Torrance. But to be fair, that aspect of Jack Torrance is also way toned down in the movie, as opposed to the book. Like that's the entire book. Like if you could say one word to describe the novel, it'd probably be alcoholism or addiction or.
I think that's like the running theme of that book.
Yeah. And then Marge is Wendy Torrance. I think that fits pretty well because Marge is the iconic enabler.
Yeah, no, you're right. She's Wendy Torrance.
Probably my favorite TV mom. She is an enabler, and there's no arguing that. And Wendy's a little better than Marge, but she's definitely giving. If you've read the novel, she gives Jack way more chances than she should have.
Yeah.
Obviously, because he tries to murder her and her son.
Yeah.
But. And then Bart is Danny out of convenience.
Who's the young boy? We have Bart.
So this one I wanted to talk about a little bit more. Groundskeeper Willie as Dick Halloran. Now, in the novel, Dick is chef, right?
I think so.
Is he a chef in the movie too? Okay, yeah, he is the chef in the... So...
I guess they just didn't talk about it that much in the movie.
They didn't. I love Groundskeeper Willie as Dick Halloran. It's been one of the funniest things to me about that throughout my entire life. But just kind of reflecting back on it after having read the book and seen the movie, I wonder why they chose Groundskeeper Willie. I mean, he's a groundskeeper. He's not a chef. I don't have like a good explanation for this.
And is there like a big chef character in?
I mean, there's Luigi, but that wouldn't.
Yeah, but could you picture Luigi instead of Groundskeeper Willie?
No.
I think Groundskeeper Willie. Groundskeeper Willie.
Grounds.
Jeez Christ, Daniel.
Ground is plural. Keeper is singular.
Yeah. He's more popular character.
Yeah, and if I could ask somebody, I just like why did you choose Groundskeeper?
But yeah, why did you pick him?
Yeah, that's curious.
It'd be an interesting question. Maybe one day we'll run into the director at a convention.
Honestly, they probably just said because we thought it was funny. And it is. It's hilarious.
I think that's good enough of an explanation.
Yeah.
It's not as interesting of an explanation.
But
it's like, why are the curtains blue in your book? Because I wanted them to be blue.
But don't be reading my mind between 4 and 5. That's Willie time.
Now, when he says that, is that a double entendre?
No, because he pulls on his Willie.
Yeah.
He watches his tiny little TV in his bed. He has to get the antenna in the exact right position to get Skinamax.
I was picturing he'd do something like more on basic cable, like, what was that beach show that everyone liked?
Baywatch.
Was Baywatch around in 1994?
Pretty sure.
Okay.
I never watched it, but I know it's like a 90s thing.
I'll kill you all! I'll drive you crazy, and I'll kill you all! I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
We're moving on to scary shit, and if you've listened to Treehouse of Horror of Babylon before, you know, for scary shit, we talk about the humor instead of the scares because that's not scary. So what was your favorite joke, and what was your least favorite joke?
I honestly really kind of liked the blood elevator one.
It's pretty funny.
It caught me off guard a little bit, especially just like how nonplussed Mr. Burns is.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, that usually gets off on another floor. I also just really liked that the reason Homer goes crazy is because they take away his beer.
He's a man of vices.
Yeah.
And if you take away his vices, I can relate a little bit because I've been trying to get back on the fitness horse a little bit.
It's hard.
Yeah. And I've thought, you know, I can't take away every vice I have. I have to leave something because stressful job. I have 2 kids. I have a house to manage, and at the end of the day, I gotta either have a cookie or a beer.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I gotta deny myself both. But I could have one.
Yeah, you don't need to. You can have a beer with dinner. You just don't need to have a case of beer.
Yeah, a 6-pack of beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I totally get that, and it's very, very relatable, and it also fits the character both of Jack and of Homer.
I think the worst joke was when they had to keep driving back to the hotel. Like, after the third one, I was like, okay. I was done after the first one.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, I thought it was funny the first time, and then they did it 2 more times. I was like, no, I'm done.
Comedy comes in 3s. But they only actually turn around twice.
Okay. When she brought it up a third time, I was like, I swear if he turns around again. That's what I was thinking.
That one's my favorite.
That's your favorite.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
It didn't work for me.
That's the one that's stuck with me. Like, I used to be that annoying kid on the school bus who would just tell people Simpsons jokes, explain them. Like, so in The Simpsons, this happened, blah, blah, blah. And I told that one to so many kids on the bus.
That was your
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. That was my And then eventually that turned into Futurama and then Family Guy. And when I started doing Family Guy ones, then it became an issue. Especially, I didn't even really understand the majority of them. Yeah, that's my favorite. I don't think I have a least favorite. This is totally classic to me. I guess if I had to pick one, and I was going to bring this up in Zombie Day, why is Dracula and the Mummy and the Wolfman and Freddy Krueger and Pinhead like dragging out?
Well, yeah, when he says the ghouls are here, I was expecting something more Shining.
Mm-hmm. It's a little out of left field.
Like the twins or something. I kept waiting for the twins.
Yeah.
Like, even as a reference.
Mm-hmm.
And it kept not happening.
No, I think they're in a deleted scene, and I just can't remember.
Oh my god, are you Stephen King? No, I'm Dean Koontz. Oh.
So, Kings and Koontz, what is your king for the Shinning?
I'm gonna have to just say Homer. I think Homer really, really works with this story.
I agree. I'm gonna say Marge then, because I think that she's the perfect counter, and I just love her deadpan reaction to things. Two specific examples. She throws them in the freezer. You stay here until you're no longer crazy. Ooh, chili would be perfect for dinner tonight.
It's such a Marge reaction, too.
Or, Mom, is Dad gonna kill us? We'll just have to see. And then your Koontz?
No twins, because I kept waiting for that and it didn't happen.
Please hold while the guys look this up on YouTube.
Yes, I knew it. I knew they were in a deleted scene. Okay, here we go.
Oh, so they used the actual twins.
Yeah, Sherry and Terry.
Oh,
that's right.
Both of them.
I forgot.
See, my king is now the deleted scene.
Yeah, because Bart's going on the red carpet with his skateboard, like Danny does with his tricycle,
okay.
and then he runs into the twins. Yeah. Okay, you're... All right.
And my Koontz is that they deleted that, because that's a good gag.
Yeah. What would you take out? It's hard to say.
I don't know. I would have just added it in as 15 seconds long.
But what if there was football game?
Yeah, I would say the football game will be there when the 15 seconds are done.
Do you know how many times I missed the first 10 minutes of The Simpsons because a football game went long when I was a kid? Oh my god, that was the worst part of my week.
We only had one TV when I was like really young, and during football season I didn't get to watch anything.
Well, it wasn't that.
Yeah.
Because nobody in my house watched football.
Yeah.
But they'd air the football game on Fox, and if the game went long, they would just not show The Simpsons. They would just keep the game on.
Oof.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and I don't have a Koontz, because fuck you. I don't have a Koontz. All right, we're not ranking yet, because you said we need to do at least 5 before we rank.
Yeah, I think we need, especially because I think we should sit on them.
Mm-hmm.
And see how we feel about it. Because right now my number one is by like a wide margin is still Death Tome.
It's hard for me to compare them because I've literally watched The Shinning regularly since I was in like 4th or 5th grade.
Yeah.
And that and Death Tome, and not it just came out.
And then when we have have 5, we can do, here's our top 5 out of 5.
Yeah, top 5 out of 5.
You know, it's a small gag, but it'll be effective.
All right, well, I'll pick 2 more. If anybody has any suggestions, please go to our socials and let us know. But we'll definitely do at least 2 more of these. And then
I want one with Flanders.
There's one where it's a cross of I Know What You Did Last Summer and The Wolfman, where Flanders is a werewolf.
That sounds like a great combination.
I actually used a clip from it in our Dog Soldiers episode.
Oh, is that what that's from?
Yeah. Oh. So maybe we'll do that one. That's a good one. The Raven, that one is also a total classic. What's the one with the kids, the creepy kids?
Village of the Damned?
Yeah, there's a good one on that too. There's lots of good stuff. Okay.
That's my favorite cuckold story.
For Zombie Day, when Maggie is playing with blocks in front of the TV, where Homer's like, oh, the TV's out. She's playing with blocks in front of the TV, and she spells out red rum with the blocks. Then, of course, you have Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Dracula, the Mummy, the Wolfman, and Pinhead show up.
I wasn't expecting to see them.
No, but there they are. They're there. Yeah. And then for homework, if you were the Overlook's winter caretaker, how would you murder your family?
Okay, I have 2 answers.
Okay.
Okay, one of them is like a more realistic and dark answer, and one of them is fun.
Okay.
The realistic and dark answers, I'd probably just shoot them because I own guns.
Wow, that's...
So it's like, if I went insane or was possessed or whatever, you know.
Okay.
They're there.
All right.
And my second one is Cocaine Bear.
How would you get Cocaine Bear in the house?
I would lure him there with cocaine.
I don't think that's going to work. I think the premise of the movie is that it eats cocaine once and then goes nuts. I don't think he's like a cocaine addict.
One of the people he chases in the trailer is because he has cocaine on his shirt.
I think you're way more excited for this movie than I am.
It looks so fucking stupid. I love it.
Okay, for me, I would take away their devices and then explain the history of Middle-earth from
until they die.
Until they die.
I like your answer. It's not as dark.
I would start with the creation.
Oh, so you're gonna do it? You're not gonna do it in book order. You're gonna do it in chronological.
No, I'm gonna do it in the order he wrote.
Oh wow!
Which is the Silmarillion, the Hobbit.
He wrote the Silmarillion first.
He was writing the Silmarillion in the trenches of World War I.
Oh my! I might die here. I'm going to create a universe.
That was his project. That's what he wanted. He tried to get that published, and nobody would take it. So he did The Hobbit, and they're like, oh, yeah, we'll do that. And then he's like, all right, I did The Hobbit. It's successful, made money. Now I have the Silmarillion, and they're like, no, we don't want that. You know what you should do? A sequel to The Hobbit.
The only, World War author that I know, I think, was World War II, and that was Ian Fleming, the James Bond guy. And he was really good friends with Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
And they were both in the Secret Service together.
Yep. C.S. Lewis, author of the Narnia books, was also a World War I vet.
And he was friends with Tolkien, wasn't he?
Yep. And I have trouble saying his name, but Remarque, or whatever, the guy who wrote All Quiet on the Western Front, was obviously a World War I.
Have you watched that episode of South Park I told you to watch yet?
The COVID one?
No. It's on their newest season. I'm just gonna have to pull it up one of the times I'm over here.
Do they still have a website with all their episodes free?
I don't know. I have it on HBO Max. And that's how I watch it. I'll look up which episode and make you watch it again.
Okay.
It's a Lord of the Rings episode. They did another one.
Oh.
But it's not like they're not doing a parody. It's like they keep referencing the books.
That was my favorite episode when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I love that one.
So I saw that episode and I immediately thought of you.
All right, question for the listeners. If you had to be murdered in a Stephen King story, which one would it be and how? Reach out to us on our socials and let us know. And then for further reading, if you enjoy these types of adult cartoon horror movie parodies, definitely check out Treehouse of Horror Presents Not It. Check out South Park, The Wacky Molestation Adventure, which is a parody of Children of the Corn. And also South Park Nightmare on FaceTime, which is a parody of The Shining.
Yeah. I was gonna ask if you'd seen that one.
No, I've seen the Children of the Corn one. I've not seen the Shining one.
The Shining one's pretty good.
I don't remember what It was probably the Coon and Friends season, but I haven't seen anything past that. I've seen everything up to that and nothing past that. But yes, okay, upcoming on the Horror of Babylon this Sunday, February 5th, we are going to be covering the unauthorized Nosferatu Symphony of Horror. And then we will be live at DualCon in Charleston, West Virginia on Saturday, October 11th. At 7:30, we're going to do our live episode in Panel Room 2 on Uzumaki by Junji Ito.
It's going to be a great time. And
then also a great time, that Sunday, we're going to be releasing an episode on A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, which, if you never heard of it, it's a reimagining of Dracula and his wives as a polyamorous, pansexual group.
It's weird because S.T. Gibson is someone else I would also really like to interview.
Yeah.
I just really be like, okay, what literally, like, were you just sitting around one day and going, Dracula, but from the bride's perspective?
Yeah.
I like to pick her brain.
It's cool. I looked at her website. She has a contact me form for that kind of stuff, so maybe we'll do that. And then the next Sunday, we're going to cover Dracula from 1931 with Bela Lugosi. The following Sunday, we will cover Powers of Darkness, the Icelandic version of Dracula by Bram Stoker. And then we will wrap up Dracula coverage on the first Sunday in March with 1992's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Featuring Ryan's favorite actor, Keanu Reeves.
And Ryan's favorite actress, Winona Ryder. It's a double feature. I love them both so much.
You're going to love their bad British accents.
And thank you very much. This show is brought to you by our patrons, Abigail, the first breaker of chains, mother of motherfucking dragons, and
Logan, the
full metal patron. And of course, please visit our patron for Horsemen Comics and Gaming at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, and at the Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and say hello to Ronald III, the Grampus of Christmas. And stay tuned for our socials. Thank you for recording.
It was a great time.
And stay scary.
Stay scary, everybody.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow Daniel at dstarsick on Twitter. Follow Ryan at Darth Daimyo on the Bluebird app. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher, and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that the Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all other major podcast apps. Stay scary.